episode of SAU USA. I'm Adam Savage.
And I'm Clark Kent.
Today's program is brought to you by the Wonder Saw. No wonder all the doctors use the Wonder Saw.
And the original Burger King, bringing new burgers during battles.
And Mustang, 1 horsepower just for you.
Today on our program, we take a closer look at the Civil War, the war that divided our country. This war put brother against brother over such controversial issues as slavery, the rights of states to make their own laws, and taxes on goods that were essential items.
Our first story takes a look at the life of Harriet Tubman. Her significant role as an abolitionist was matched by no other. Narrated by Harriet Tubman herself. Here's her story.
I was born a slave in Maryland, 1820. By the time I was 10 years old, I was working in the fields with the adults. I had heard about another life in the North. At night, I dreamed of what it was like to be free. As I grew older, I became more and more angry about what was happening to me and around me. It became harder to ignore the whippings and the brutal labor and the starvation. In 1849, my master died. I was at risk of being sold to a new master in the deep South where life was much more harsh. This was my chance to escape, and I did. I set out at night with a satchel and 2 slips of paper with the names of white families that would help me. These are my first 2 tickets on the Underground Railroad. I became the most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. I went back and forth 19 times, bringing men, women, and children north to freedom.
Who are those children dressed in white?
God's gonna trouble the water.
Must be the ones of the Israelite.
God's gonna trouble the water.
They call me Moses. We traveled at night following the rivers and even walking in them at times, hoping to keep the bounty hunters from trailing us. We followed the Big Dipper at night through the forests and swamps, hiding in haystacks and fields during the day. Along the way, there were symbols left by white families that would help us. They would feed, clothe, and protect us until it was safe to continue. Slave masters learned of who I was and wanted me stopped. There was a reward out for my capture of $40,000.
Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man's a-waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd. When the sun comes back and the first quail calls.
I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person now that I was free. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Are you tired of walking lone prairies and woods? Get your new Mustang now! It comes with 1 horsepower! Yes, and if you buy it right now, you'll get 1 free horseshoe change! Ding! 1 bale of hay equals 90 miles! So come down to Donner Party Ranch to get your new Mustang now! Ding! Die, Yank!
No!
Number 6! Yes, I'm 8!
Fighting in a war can sure make you hungry. So come try our hardtack burgers and our cricket souffle. It'll make your day.
We wouldn't be able to talk about the Civil War without mentioning our 16th president, Mr. President Abraham Lincoln. He was our first Republican president and one of our greatest.
For our next story, we travel to a small town in Kentucky, a town very near to where the place President Abraham Lincoln was born. The students of Harriet Beecher Stowe Elementary decided to write and perform a play in honor of our great president on his birthday. This unique project we'd like to share with you.
I'm Abraham Lincoln, and I was born in a log cabin when I was in Kentucky. When I was 9 years old, my mother died. And then my sister died.
I feel that the best way for children to learn about history is to actually experience it. By becoming these characters and looking into themselves to find their character, they develop a great understanding of what came before us.
I was raised by my father. He was very strict. He didn't like the fact that I enjoyed reading.
The children really wanted to focus on the important parts of Abraham Lincoln's presidency. The Emancipation Proclamation that freed the slaves from the southern states was extremely controversial.
Free Southern slaves! 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 Yay!
Lincoln did have a very interesting personal life. He really only had 18 months of formal education, and given the fact that he was such an amazing student, lawyer, and politician, he was also an amazing and gifted speaker. In contrast, though, he was not all that fortunate with his personal life. He married Mary Todd in 1841, and through their life they had lots of ups and downs. They lost 2 sons to illness, and Mary really struggled emotionally with this. The sadness stayed with her. She would often tell people that she saw her 2 sons at the foot of her bed each night, and she would often engage in seances to communicate with them. Mary Todd, isn't it sad that 2 of our sons have died? Well, at least we still have 1 son.
Ghost of my sons!
Although Lincoln's personal life sometimes took a toll on him and Mary, he was a dedicated president and never compromised for the things that were most important to him. After the Great Battle of Gettysburg, he delivered the most famous speech of his life, the Gettysburg Address.
77 years ago, our founding fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether or not that nation or any nation so conceived can long endure. I really think it's amazing how these children have portrayed history so accurately here. It's incredible.
Abraham Lincoln was the first president in our history to be assassinated, and of course the children had to include that in their story.
President Lincoln attended the production of My American Cousin at Ford Theater. It was during the production that John Wilkes Booth entered the theater. At around 10:15, John Wilkes Booth shot him in the back of the head and killed him.
The 13th Amendment of the Constitution officially abolished slavery in our country. It was adopted on December 6, 1865, 8 months after Lincoln's assassination, and still stands today. Although Abraham Lincoln worked hard for much of his political career to abolish slavery in the United States, he was not alive to see it fully realized.
And now a word from our sponsors. Hello, Clark Kent here on Medicine Cabinet. Here today is Mr. Adams, the world-famous surgeon, and we're talking about the newest, hottest product, the Wonder Saw. I mean, you don't have to question why they call it the Wonder Saw when all the docs around use it. Let's have a first look on how it works.
Docs, he's all ready.
Doc,
Can you save my leg?
Well, no, but you won't. But you'll live because of the Wonder Saw.
Okay. Does it hurt, son?
Yeah.
It's over. It won't hurt in a minute.
I feel great.
Hi, Clark Kent. So now you don't have to wonder why they gave it the nickname the Wonder Saw. I mean, look at that. Nice clean leg. I mean, look at his arm. Doesn't even look like he ever had one. Now, signing off, Clark Kent, the Medicine Cabinet.
Welcome back to SAU USA Special Story on the Civil War. Here with me,
It's Clark Kent.
and I'm Adam Savage. The war began in 1861. After President Lincoln was elected, 11 states, calling themselves the Confederate States, seceded from the Union. This increased the tension that was already mounting. Within a few months, war breaks out. The North wanted to preserve the Union. The South wanted to preserve slavery and their independence. Everyone expected the war to be over in a few months. This was far from the truth.
After 4 years of fighting, there was over 620,000 deaths, making the conflict America's bloodiest war. The first major battle was the Battle of Bull Run in Manassas, Virginia, led by General Robert E. Lee. The Confederacy had their first victory here. There was many battles over the 4 years of this gruesome war, but the most famous of all was the Battle of Gettysburg. It happened in July of 1863. The battle was a Union victory and was credited with leading the end to the war. Here is a tribute to those who fought and died in the Battle of Gettysburg.
Today we have a story about the American Civil War Battle of Gettysburg. The Battle of Gettysburg was a vicious battle with 93,923 men from Union Major General George Gordon Meade's Army of the Potomac.
All right, men. We'll fire upon the Confederates at my command. We will cease fire in hopes to deceive them that we are out of ammunition. When they advance, you'll discharge your weapons at my order.
Sir, yes, sir!
Union forever!
Union forever!
Versus the 71,699 men from Confederate General Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia.
Alright, men. We're going to attack for a third and final time, and hopefully we will take this hill. We're going to enter from straight on. They're all out of cannon fire, so we will be able to surprise them. Is that clear?
Sir, yes, sir!
The battle lasted 3 days, July 1st to July 3rd in the year 1863. In the battle, there were 7,863 deaths in total and 27,029 wounded soldiers in total. The battle had more casualties than any other battle in the American Civil War.
I thank God for my life and for the stars and stripes. May freedom forever fly. Let it ring. Salute the ones who died, the ones that give their lives so we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love.
That's all for today, folks. Tune in next week for Sign Language with Elmo.